Hello and welcome to another Döhle Yacht Coffee Break. Today I'm joined by Marc Verburg, the Fleet Operations Manager for Marshall Islands. And what we want to do today is talk to you about the voluntary commercial compliance scheme that Marshall Islands run. So first, thank you very much, Marc, for joining us. I know you're a very busy man. So what I want to do is just jump straight into it really and talk to you about, can you give me a clarification of what the actual voluntary commercial compliance scheme is and how it came about?
Sure. In due time, we noticed that a lot of our private yachts that they typically don't need to comply to the commercial compliance, of course. But we had a lot of owners that were requesting voluntary compliance due to various reasons. And we gave them the option to voluntarily comply and receive a statement of compliance to for a commercial yacht, which doesn't allow them to charter, but basically it's a statement from us that the yacht complies to commercial compliance. However, in due time, we also noticed that some of the owners, they did not always want to comply in full. They wanted to drop some of the compliances that were on a voluntary basis, and it became a little bit of a mixed match on certain yachts. And we wanted to deliver this service to the clients due to the reasons that we see, or we would like to see, our private yachts to be as compliant as much as they can. But it needs to also be a pleasure for the owner to enjoy his yacht. So we endeavor, of course, that the client chooses a voluntary compliance, but we also understand that in certain cases he doesn't like one statutory requirement for obvious reasons. So we sat together and we brainstormed about this within our organization, and we actually set up a different level scheme for commercial compliance and private yacht, which is the commercial compliant.
Okay, and can you give me a clarification a bit more on those levels then, and how they work? So I think it's level 1 to 4, isn't it?
Yeah, it's basically for large private yachts, talking about over 500 gross tonnage, because there are different segments. We have the less than 300 gross tonnage, we have the less than 500 gross tonnage. And then we have the level scheme for everything over 500 gross tonnage. Mm-hmm. The level scheme for over 500 gross tonnage has actually 5 levels.
Oh, okay.
And level 1 is the highest achievable level that you can get, and that basically you comply in full with all the statutory certificates that would be needed for a commercial yacht. Although you're private, you want to voluntarily comply to the full suite of commercial yacht. Now, in case that the owner, for instance, doesn't like to be certified against the MLC requirements, because that's not required for a private yacht, and for reasons he doesn't like the MLC requirements, we have the option to go to level number 2. Level number 2 means you are basically fully compliant except the MLC. That's acceptable to us. And the moment that the owner wishes to bring his yacht to a commercial registration, he only needs to upgrade his MLC certification. Now, if the owner says, I don't like MLC and I don't like the ISPS because I feel safe enough on my yacht and I don't really like the ISPS certification, you can go to level 3. And basically level 3 means you are fully compliant, except MLC and except ISPS, acceptable to us, until you would like to become a commercial yacht. That means you have to go for your ISPS certification and your MLC certification, etc., etc. And basically it goes down to level 5. Level 5 is the lowest achievable level that you can get, and that's basically SOLAS level, safety construction and safety equipment.
Okay.
And on level 5, because you're only compliant to SOLAS, you are not able to get a Marshall Islands statement of compliance for commercial operations. It's basically a solar certification, voluntary.
Okay, and so if the yacht comes in and they want to join this scheme, and let's say they're starting at level 5, and they have a plan that I don't know, every refit or over a number of years they want to try and move up that system. How does a yacht go about moving from level to level?
Basically, it's upgrading and have a dialogue with your yacht manager and with the classification society and with FLAG. If you start on level 5, which is basically only the SOLAS requirements for safety construction, safety equipment, of course, if you want to go up a step to level number 4, that means load line certification. You just contact the class society, and they will certify the yacht as a load line for the load line convention. And so forth and so forth. You just upgraded it as it fits. And every time when you upgraded it and you let us know and you show us the evidence, then you will receive a level 4 or level 3.
Okay, and also, as you were talking earlier about the deliverable for this, so the physical bit of paperwork that the yacht get, can you just clarify that? But also, how, I assume that's valid, or can you clarify how long that's valid for? Do they need like an annual inspection for certain parts of it, or can you just expand on that, please?
Yeah, sure, because from level 1 to level 4, we will issue a statement of voluntary compliance to the commercial yacht code. That basically means that the yacht and the crew have been found qualified to operate this yacht as a commercial yacht, but she's not commercially registered, so we can only issue a statement. This statement is valid for 5 years.
Okay.
And subject to annual endorsements.
Okay.
So every year a survey by the FLAG needs to take place, provided that all the statutory certificates are kept valid, of course, and the surveys have taken place.
Sure.
The benefit of having this system is that if you voluntarily comply to a relatively high level, let's say level 1 or level 2, and the owner decides to charter his yacht out and changes the registration from private to commercial, it is basically a paperwork exercise because we have surveyed the yacht every year to a commercial standard. So it's a paperwork exercise of swapping the statement to a commercial compliance certificate, which is the green light to register as a commercial yacht. Usually that process, especially with level 1, you can change your private certificate to a commercial certificate. You can basically change it within 24 hours. It's only a paperwork exercise, provided, of course, that all the documentation for the registration have been submitted. It's a pretty fast and easy exercise.
Fantastic. Well, Marc, thank you very much for your time today. Guys, I hope that kind of clarifies some of the questions that we often get asked. If there are any further questions or more information that you'd like, obviously Marc and my details will be at the end of this presentation. And thank you very much for listening.